My name is Nick Millern. Every weekday, I wake up at 6:30 a.m., eat, get dressed, and make my way to school. Throughout the school day, I struggle to balance learning, interacting with others, solving my quench of hunger and thirst, and sometimes even sleeping. As soon as school is over, I have to get prepared for track practice. And after track practice, I have to get prepared for work. After a long and tiring shift, I have to go home and do my homework. This leaves me no room for any other activities, and I normally end up going straight to bed. It has made me question my time management. Should I free some time up for myself, or should I keep doing what I'm doing? Is all this hard work going to pay off in the end? These are all just a few questions that I try and solve in my quest to figure out the perfect student. All right, reverse the clip. And stop. Welcome to the first topic we will be discussing, sleep. So let's cover the basics. The main goal in life is to be happy, right? Well, to be happy, you need to be successful. And to be successful, you need to get good grades. Or at least that's what you're told. This segment covers how much sleep you need to obtain to get the best grades you could get. So how much sleep do you need? I decided to catch up with our school nurse to see if she had any idea. And sure enough, we got an answer.
Well, it's recommended that a student get 9 to 9.5 hours sleep, but as far as I know, the majority of students get less than that. Usually 6 to 7 hours of sleep is the norm for students.
But was she right? Do you really need around 9 hours of sleep a night? I decided to do some research of my own to figure it all out. Sure enough, multiple studies, including Kids Health and NY Times, confirm that you need 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep, and sometimes even more. And how is this affecting students across the nation?
In the morning, it really seems to affect me. Normally math class, which is pretty important. I daydream a lot.
And what do teachers think about this situation?
I definitely think there's a correlation between student achievement and the amount of sleep that they get. If you're not getting the proper amount of sleep, you're not going to be able to do the things that you have to do. And students, they're doing one of the most difficult things that they do in their entire life, and that's called growing. And if they're not getting the sleep that they need, they're not going to be able to do well.
So we can all agree it's a major problem if you don't get enough sleep. So are students really getting the right amount of sleep that they should?
I get about 6 hours of sleep on a school night.
Probably usually about 7.
I probably get around 7 or 8 hours of sleep a night.
Worst case, maybe 3 or 4 hours, anywhere to 7.
These are just a few of the millions of students undersleeping. According to a survey done by the National Sleep Foundation, only 15% of students sleep 8.5 hours on school nights. However, does not getting enough sleep really affect GPA? I conducted my own survey of over 50 kids to find out. Sure enough, those who slept 8 or more hours on a school night had a much better GPA than those who got under 8 hours of sleep a night. So if you're a student and are watching this, think about going to bed earlier. And if you're a parent and watching this, encourage your child to go to bed earlier. Now on to our next topic, sports.
Last night I played soccer.
I worked out at the gym.
I did track.
I'm a competitive cheerleader.
Hockey was still winding down. Track was also just picking up.
As many people know, being a student athlete takes a lot of dedication and effort. Is it in a student's best interest to do sports in high school, or should a student take that time and spend it on something more important? Let's find out.
Don't really think it did much effect because we were usually done with practice by like 4:30 in the afternoon, so I had time to go home and get my homework done and studying.
But some students didn't think the same way.
It hampers my studying ability whenever we have later games. Like we had a 9:15 game, and we didn't get home till like 12, so I had no time to study.
Well, the practices kind of got in the way, so a lot of my schoolwork either had to be done late at night or at school because the practices took up a lot of time after school.
To figure out exactly how sports affect GPA, I conducted a survey similar to the one with sleep, but instead asked them if they played any sports or not. After analysis, it was determined that students that played sports had a significantly better GPA. So in fact, sports do help students with schoolwork. On to our next topic, homework. So first things first, how much time are students spending on homework?
Probably like an hour at the most.
Probably anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, I'd say.
I usually don't do homework at home.
I'd be lying if I told you I spent any time on homework at night.
I honestly don't spend that much time on homework. I mostly do it in the morning or the period before it's due.
So it's a wide mix. We'll get back to that later. Let's see what teachers think about homework. How many hours do they think students should be spending on homework?
That's a tough one because it's going to depend upon the courses that they're taking. But I think that a student in high school should probably be spending on the order of 2 to 2.5 hours of homework per night. And whether that is each evening or maybe out over the entire week, it would average to about 2 to 2.5 hours.
Well, according to the National Education Association, a student should have no more than 10 minutes of homework per grade level. That means high school students should have an hour and a half to 2 hours of homework per night. Now, what do my surveys say? Out of the kids I talked to, the average student spends about 75 minutes on homework a night. That's a little bit under, but taking into account that some students don't do their homework at all, it's safe to say teachers are assigning the right amount of homework. Now, let's talk about another potential problem with students, and that is social networks. With technology becoming a bigger and bigger impact on our society, most people can no longer live without a smartphone or a computer. These can be valuable tools, but also big distractions in the form of social media, like things such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Before we talk about how to limit these distractions, let's hear how much time students are spending on these sites.
I mean, it's just always there. It's always up just if someone messages me or something. I'm usually not paying direct attention to it for more than maybe an hour, but like it's always there.
Probably like 2 or 3.
Probably about an hour.
All the time. It's a really bad habit. Like too much time.
So do social networks help or hurt student achievement? Well, on the good side, 59% of students with access to the internet state that they use social networking sites to discuss educational topics, and about half use the sites to talk about school assignments. Despite this, students that use social media have an average GPA of 3.06, compared to non-users that have an average of 3.82. So, social networks do indeed hurt students after all. But do they know this?
It distracts me a lot. Like I could probably do homework instead of being on that.
So my suggestion to students would be not to stop using it, but try to set aside a specific time when you can look at it and be on social networks for a few minutes. Now let's move on to something that is more important to our male audience, video games. This is another important item of technology that has affected many people's lives. Before we begin discussing it, however, let's see how much time kids are spending on video games.
Probably like 5 to 6 whenever I don't have hockey. That's maybe like 3 or 4 times a week.
I can't put a number on how long I play them, but it really depends on the day and whether I'm doing something or not. It's more or less if I don't have anything to do.
Occasionally, not really much. They don't take up much time for me. A week I probably play like maybe 2 or 3, so it's not as big as it was.
Now, many teachers and parents would likely claim that there are no benefits to video games, but some students see it differently.
I think it's more or less just a stress reliever for me. If anything, it increases my GPA because I, get a lot of my stress out and, yeah.
Video games do more than that too. On top of video games being proven to reduce stress, they also improve your vision and your decision-making skills. However, if students play too much video games, it can lead to getting in the way of time for studying and then can affect GPA. So just like social networks, it is okay and even beneficial as long as it's in moderation. After all the things we discussed in this film, it seems like students need some time to wind down and just not do anything. That's where our next topic comes in, relaxation. The best way to use that relaxation time for students that said earlier that they're not getting enough sleep at night is to take a nap.
I like my after-school naps.
I normally take an after-school nap, which can range from like 2 to 4 hours.
Studies have proven that a 20-minute nap in the middle of the day, around 3 o'clock, is extremely effective for productivity. It is conveniently right around the time that students get home from school. Any more than 40 minutes of a nap, though, and you'll be sleepy for the rest of the day. So make sure to set an alarm. And if you're not tired, take that time to do an activity that you enjoy doing, or just hang out, watch some TV, and do whatever else you want to do. Well, that wraps up the important parts. These are the decisions that most teenagers have to deal with on a regular basis. There are a few things we didn't cover, though, that I think need to be hit briefly. These are the things that aren't necessarily for all students, and the first I would like to talk about is playing an instrument. Scientists say that students that play an instrument do much better in school. It improves reading, discipline, and relieves stress. And as a guitar player myself, I have to say that it is a fun activity as well, so I definitely recommend it. And on to our other minor topic, having a job. Students who will need help financially in college can use a part-time job to help them save cash. Although the studies show that the situation varies for students based on whether they would like their job, where they work, and how many hours they work.
I do run my own business.
And does John enjoy his job?
I'd say so. The hours are flexible with all the stuff that I end up doing, so I can fit it around sports.
Sounds like John's got it figured out. Anyways, that just about wraps up everything. Let's review. So for a student, you should get 8 to 9 hours of sleep to be mentally and physically prepared for the day. Also, students should participate in sports. It is proven to boost GPA and is a way to exercise and have fun. Students also should be assigned an hour and a half to 2 hours of homework a night by their teachers to maximize the amount of information they learn. Next, if social networks are used for good reasons, they can be okay in limited use. The same idea can be applied to video games as well. It is also very good to take a 20-minute nap every day, and it can help to learn an instrument. Lastly, it doesn't hurt to have a job, as long as you're not working too many hours. Combine all these ideas together, and you get the perfect student.